I was not supposed to be doing this session, but I decided to do that. But when I just came in front of the camera, I just happened to look at a book that was lying on the floor. And that is this book, Tesla, The Life and Times of an Electric Messiah. There was a time that when I was immersed in the study of Tesla and his accomplishment, with a view to do some documentary on Tesla and where his genius came from. Because, he had about 700 some patents, and some of them, most of them, came after his death. So I was fascinated by this guy, how he got this genius brain. And he also said, all that we have to do is, he died at a time when science and technology, even the medical science, was not that evolved like today. And so he did at one point say a couple of things. One point he said, if we change the brain waves, we can change a lot of things. And he had an intuition. And he said that he always was interested. Here I am going to read something. He said, he was interested. It has cost me years of thought to arrive at certain results, by many more believed to be unattainable. So what people thought it is not attainable was the domain that he wanted to work on. That's why he had the ability to go into areas that are thought to be impossible. Something that reminded me that's what I am trying to do. Or even Vishwamitra wanted to give a lifestyle of the king to everyone in his kingdom. Is that possible? That's not possible at all. How can anybody have the lifestyle of a king or a president? The president flies everywhere in a private jet, in the government jet. And how can people don't even money to put gas? Is that possible to accomplish that? Everybody could have or can have everything of a king that a king has. It's impossible. But somehow Vishwamitra thought that it is possible, but it is possible through divine means, not by human means. That's why he came up with this sound Brzee. And what must be happening, we have just established what happens in the brain when you say Brzee. We have some preliminary amateur results. But then we have done Harvard research on how the sounds change the brain, particularly the intelligence, and how it goes to various parts of the brain and what sounds activate what parts of the brain. That we have research supported by great institutions like Harvard and Brain Science International. But for Brzee, we are yet to do, but we have done some preliminary things that I wanted to show by someone who just got trained in the brainwave studies. So I leave it to her to show that to you. Now, doing the impossible. Somebody sent me a recent market survey of what's happening in the United States. 10% of families in the United States own about 70% of the nation's wealth, 10% of families. What is left out? 30% is being shared by 90%. 90% have to share the 30%, and 10% as they're sharing 70%. This is a hard fact. Is it possible to change it? And I was saying if we can get 50-50, at least 90% of the people get 50 and 10% of the people get 50, that's doable. But to say that everybody is going to be equal, it is difficult. But it is possible. It is possible when this time changes, Kali Yuga ends and Satya Yuga starts. But in the meantime, we are struggling, and Brzee would help. And how the sounds change your brain is really the key. All that is needed is the sound. Everything is sound. I spoke about it in the last presentation. Now, the quantum physics is talking about the string theory. The string theory means how the finest of the matter, which are the particles, are just sound waves, strings, sound. And this is what the Vedic rishis found in deep meditation, like Vishwamitra did as well. You can get to a point and then create everything. Put string theory on the one hand, the Bible in the middle, and then the Vedic science on the right side. Vedic science and from India, and then the Bible say the same thing about creation. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God. God said, "Let there be light," and then the light was there. And that is how easy it is to create through the sounds. But we waste our sounds by blah-blahing from morning till evening. Totally unconscious talk. That is our default system. Our default, the human default, is ignorance and blah, blah. And if we just change that default, a default of great understanding, great accomplishment, then we will will be well. And now, that's why I came up with this 5 modules of deep concentration on the sound and understanding how it works, and how to get the sound into the soul, into the mind, into the body, and then saturate all these final carriers of consciousness, the soul, the mind, and the body. With the sound, Brzee, then you can accomplish. This is the first time that I came up with this. The way I operate is, by the time I come to the 6 months, I will have changed my teaching about Brzee. Since 1998 to 2019 now, it has gone through tremendous amount of evolution. Why? That is the way it is in the earth plane. Why did not people invent color television right in the beginning? They have to go through black and white and all kinds of things. And now television is obsolete. You can have everything on your cell phone. Okay? So it has gone through a lot of changes. So if you learn Brzee now, it is the best. And in 6 months from now, I would give you a lot more. That is why I keep it open. As it comes, then I will talk about it. For instance, when I came and then the Tesla is very close to my heart. He was such a good genius, but a very bad money karma. A man of his stature, whom Morgan Stanley and Westinghouse, all these people were partners with, should be without money and should be supported by his own government somewhere in Eastern Europe. It is pathetic. And he had so many patents. Why? He always had very bad money karma. In contrast to his mentor and boss, Edison. Edison had great money karma. That's the bottom line. Now, that's one thing. So that is something that we have to understand. And I really sympathize with people who struggle hard but are unable to change their money karma, which is financial mind. That's why even in the United States, 90% of the people share 30% of the wealth. I don't know what equation will be there in third world countries. They are trashed. Having said that, I just want to give a positive message. You don't have to look for the government to give you money, the government to fix you. You need Brzee to fix you. Brzee will not only fix your financial consciousness, it will fix a lot. And another day during this testing, I found that Brzee can also help changing some of the key intelligence areas and other than the money areas. So everything boils down to the brain. That's why neuroscience is going to rule the world. Nowadays, what happens, neuroscience even in the United States, neurofeedback, not many people do. Why? Because the government in the Medicare or nobody will pay for it. They won't pay for neurofeedback. Insurance will not pay for it. It is not recognized. But I predict that within the next 2 to 3 years, it is going to explode. And people will understand why it is important to do that. Obama wanted to do that when he came to power. He said, we have to study the brain and invest all our money into it, but it didn't take off. But it will take off. And we don't have to wait until then you can start with chanting Brzee loud. Now, I just want to go back. Why I looked at Tesla's book, and the title was very interesting. The book calls Tesla Electric Messiah. It is very interesting that he was fighting with Edison because Edison did not want the AC current. He was only into DC, and he was making a lot of money. So that will ruin his career and money. But Westinghouse supported Tesla, and then he went there. And when he came up with that, and there was tremendous amount of opposition from Edison. And then he did some magic to pass the AC into his body and proved that this current is not dangerous. I am going to pass this current, heavy volt current. And then had demonstrated. It's very interesting. That is something like what a Messiah can do, not human beings can do. That's one thing. And I also remember one thing about, now having said that, I also have equal respect for Edison. Without Edison, there won't be any bulb. And Edison is a great inventor too. He passed away in 1931. We didn't have a knowledge of the brain as we have today. Edison would go into a theta state. A theta wave is the most creative wave. And it is in between your sleep and waking state of consciousness. You get into a drowsy state. And that drowsiness has the most powerful brain waves. And intuitively, through God's grace, he was able to know, if I can get into that domain of theta, and I can create more, because you should not be living in using a model, a bad model, in which everything you retrieve from your memory. What you retrieve from your memory is garbage, is what you have stored. There is nothing new coming out. So we have to have something new to come out, and that comes out from the theta brain waves. So he did not have the sophisticated machine that I just bought. But what he did was very interesting. He just will sit on his chair and then would invoke this drowsy state. And then in this drowsy state, your mind, your conscious mind is not alert. So the secret is available in theta drowsy state where you are not fully conscious. But then you need the conscious state to find out what you are perceiving in the theta state. So he devised some crude, it's not a machine, a device. He had an iron ball he would carry in his hand, and he will go into a meditation. And then he will get into the drowsy state and then into a sleep. And if he goes into the sleep state, then he will completely forget everything. So and then he will forget also the theta revelation. So he will doze off, and when he doze off, you will see the ball slips slips because he loses the grip and falls on the floor where he had kept a metal sheet. It will go bang, then he will wake up. At that time, he would know, oh my God, I saw this, I saw this, and then he will be able to do that. That's one thing. Another thing that I want to share with you is, was Tesla, how did he get all these things? And there are so many things, extraordinary things he had. One of the things he would do is get his Faust. He would recite that just in a park. He was reciting Goethe's Faust. And the recitation gave him the understanding of how to create an engine. Can you believe that? How just reading poetry, he got this one. It's because of the sounds. And who had the complete understanding of the sounds? The yogis. the Vedic rishis, because they spent millions and billions of years to understand a strategy or a device or a method through which they can transcend the human limitation and get omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. That was their goal. And they thought, and they not only thought that, they also felt and experienced the only way to do it, go to the Nada. Nada Bindu Kaladi Namo Namo Veda Mantra Swarupa Namo Namo. He saw God. This is Aranagiri, a saint. He saw the form of God, and he describes what is it like, the God's vision. It's Nada and Bindu, sound and light, but not this ordinary sound, not ultrasound, but a divine sound. And what is that sound? The sound is like Brzee. He got a different sound. But the sound that is more relevant for us individually and also for the country. So the government should sponsor this program. They should research on their own instead of trying to, fix the financial problem at a superficial level. You should go and spend money to change the poverty consciousness of people. So scarcity is consciousness of the people. And that is more important. And that goes to the science, which says, there's also some from India, water the root to enjoy the fruit. Now, trying to fix the finances through other means, like increasing taxes and tariffs and so forth, is not going to work. But we are so obsessed with external things and not understanding the internal reality. The inner becomes the outer. If the inner is infested with poverty consciousness, you will see poverty. Do we teach in schools? No, because they say this is not going to work. We are really guilty of not introducing these concepts to boys and girls when they are quite young. The inner, it becomes the outer. Because since we have ruined our consciousness by looking at a bad model of external rationalistic reality as the only reality and not taking to a deeper realm of consciousness, we have lost it. We have lost the sovereignty. We are sovereign by nature. Everyone, even a child born in a slum, is sovereign. And we are denying this sovereignty to these people. So, what we need is to fix our brain. That's why poverty is a disease of the brain. Scarcity is a disease of the brain. It is poverty, prosperity is neurological. And if the government spends money on this, a fraction of a fraction of what they have spending for other things, and making it mandatory, we can fix it. I had an experiment with the government schools. 35,000 people participated in a program. It is all government schools which are, where the children are not affluent, very, very humble, families. But the results are amazing. The sounds can change your brain. And that is the bottom line. That is how Brzee is going to work. You have to listen to that because you have to convince your rational mind first. And then, when you go on changes, doing the song over and over and over and over again, everything will change. But then you should be committed. You should not say Brzee, Brzee, Brzee a few days, and most of the time you don't do that. And that is the reason why it's not working. See, the rishis will go to the Himalayas and then go deep and explore. So how much time it took for Vishwamitra, they said 1500 or 1200 years, just to come up with this sound. It was a great sacrifice on his part. And it is the time it is getting revealed at this time. We are at the juncture of creating the golden age. The Satya Yuga, Kali Yuga is ending. So I am confident that it will change, although not too many people are interested in what I have to say. But God has His own plan, and He will just do it regardless whether people want it or not. But at the same time, you have to take responsibility also. God helps those who help themselves. And if you think that Satya Yuga is coming and money is going to fall off the roof, never. Satya Yuga is a matter of changing your brain through a cosmic process that God would use. Until then, don't wait and then continue to waste your time. Just dedicate and commit your entire focus, time. Brzee, 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 Brzee. Brzee, 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 Brzee. Even if you are talking to your friend some garbage, inside you should be chanting garbage, garbage. Brzee, 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 Brzee. Even if, most of the time you will know that, oh my God, I don't want to talk to this person. But inside, Brzee, 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 Brzee. And change your body, minds, DNA, everything, soul, with Brzee. That is the way that you can change your scarcity consciousness. And you will see once, however is the result, the results will be there. Once the results are there, then you will be more interested in doing this. So I wish you good luck, and it is Sunday, that's why the sun blessed you with this. The sun is a very powerful force. Without the sun, there is not even life, particularly intelligence. Intelligence comes from the sun. And it is His grace that He inspired me to come to the camera and talk to you about Brzee. Thank you, Sun God. And I said in the sixth model, we are going to summarize what you learned in the 5 models. And when I'm going to add one more element in the sixth module, which is going to be how you can talk to the goddess Brzee. Yeah. The goddess is Brzee, and the first temple for the goddess has been just built. I bought the land for my own, for building a house for me. It's a very beautiful land in Chennai, but I decided no. It should be made available to the public. And then I never thought, when I went to the place first, and the area was still underdeveloped. And today the price went up by 10 times more. When I went there, I saw a signboard saying God's own villa, the area. Now they changed their name. Everything has been changed. So it's in that area that I was attracted. I bought the land for building a house for me, I said. It was a reasonably big land. The Brzee thought that she would be there. I would be very happy to do that. I now live in Chennai for a rental property, but I don't mind. Everything is rented anyway. Even the body is rented by the soul, and then one day the soul has to go away. But anyway, I wish you all well to put for the 6 months. 6 months is a very small time compared to a lifetime. For these 6 months, you put your heart, mind, and soul to Brzee, you will change. Not that it takes 6 months to change. The change takes place even when you say the sound, because the brain, if you look at the brain waves, you can see how quickly it changes. And so Sonia is going to show you the brain waves, including my brain waves, but I told other people's brain waves don't identify. But she can show my brain waves to you what my baseline is, so how my brain works, when I am normal, not meditating, not doing Brzee, and what happens after Brzee is introduced. What's the time frame? 2 minutes. That doesn't mean I have said 2 minutes Brzee. I don't want to. No, the brain has changed now. You have to make the brain waves trained in Brzee so that it becomes your baseline. Brzee should become your baseline. That's the bottom line. Brzee should become your baseline is the bottom line. What it will do, it will change your default. What is your default? Scarcity consciousness. You have a choice to make here. I want to keep my default. If the default is without faults, keep it. If the default is scarcity consciousness and battling every month for your paycheck and finding out you're not able to balance your budget, that's the default. If you want to keep it, that is a choice you have made. So I leave that to you. God will do His own thing. That He has already given you the sound. That's all I wanted to say for this morning. God bless. And if there is someone who wants to help humanity in a big way, like for instance, Warren Buffett gave $30 billion to Bill Gates Foundation some years ago. And if there are people not like Warren Buffett, he's a very unique case, want to help the world with their money, and they have already established themselves in prosperity consciousness, I would help them. Because what happens is, once you have a few millions, it's easy to make a billion because you're already a good default. And I have been thinking of late to help those people so that they can give the money back to the society. And if anyone of such stature want to help, and I would be very happy to work with those people. And so that should be through an application process. You can send for a request, and then we will see what can be done. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you, Vishwamitra. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to share this wisdom with the world. God bless.